Assalamu alaikum and hello viewers, researcher. Today I'm going to present how to write a strong cover letter or an effective cover letter or an attractive cover letter, particularly to convince editor-in-chief so that your paper can go through review process. This is one of the major problem in submission, particularly editor-in-chief rejects paper during the submission process. That is called desk rejection. This is one of the major reason why papers are rejected. So particularly to overcome these challenges up to a certain extent, I'm going to present this video on writing a strong cover letter or the cover letter that will convince editor-in-chief so that it will go through a review process. That is particularly the main intention of this cover letter. So why we need to write a cover letter, as I highlighted briefly in the previous slide. So main purpose is to basically to communicate with the editor-in-chief to convince him that this will worth publication, meaning that it is within the scope of the journal, it has originality, it will attract potential readers. So as you know, the editor-in-chief is the main person actually who will, at the initial stage, the first stage, will decide whether the paper manuscript should go through review process or not. So that's why if you know some of the important tips, how to convince the editors professionally, technically, this is the purpose of my today's video. So based on my experience, mainly there are two most important reasons. One is the scope. So first of all, editor will be looking for whether our submitted work falls within the scope of the journal or not. Then second most important point is whether there are originality or not. Of course, there are many other reasons, but as you know, editor-in-chief who is responsible to check, verify these things, and also they are human beings. They are also sometimes not exactly expert in the specific area, so they may also do some mistakes. They are also not perfect as human beings. So to make editor-in-chief's work, actually we can write a strong cover letter, we can write a better cover letter. That is actually the main aim of my this presentation. So this is also our experience nowadays, particularly when we submit papers in high quality journal, top ranking journal, particularly in Q1 and Q2, actually there are huge competition. Okay, due to competition, there are huge submission, particularly certain countries submission papers, so much so. As a result, now the editors, reviewers came out with certain tools so that they can scrutinize at the initial stage so that high quality papers can go through review process. So very poor quality papers, very low original papers, and the papers which are not within the scope strongly, actually they will scrutinize and they will not allow to go through review process. So when I started my research, for example, in 2000, actually at that time, any paper we submitted in any journal, actually there were no desk rejection. Particularly paper will go through review process. Even though paper is rejected, we would get some good comments, constructive comments would help. But now the practice is different. As I mentioned, due to huge submission, now editors also came out with certain criteria to filter out, to check out, so that only outstanding, only high quality papers which are relevant go through review process. Okay, so I hope you understand the purpose of writing a cover letter. In addition to scope and originality, I think these are some of the points also need to write in the cover letter. These are not very highly important points, but it would be good if these points are also addressed. So, for example, all authors confirm that manuscript has not been published elsewhere or also in any other journal. Why? Because if we publish same content simultaneously or any other journal, these are unethical practice. So you cannot publish same content in different journals. So to avoid that, actually it is always good so that we don't submit same content in different journal at the same time. This only can be done once there has been a decision made. For example, the paper is rejected in journal A, then we are allowed to submit somewhere else. So to avoid this, we need to be careful not to submit in many journals simultaneously. So we need to state there. Also, all authors have approved the manuscript and agree with this submission. Okay, so that all authors aware, all authors knows that this is the paper we all work together. Now this is going to be submitted. So this is also one of the submission requirement according to authors guidelines. So these are some minor matter, always better to address, to highlight these points also in the cover letter. So I have written here in the form of step-by-step or points. So these are most important or most essential elements of a cover letter. So I put here 7 points. As you can see, there should have some basic information. Okay, there should have some background information, originality, how it is within the scope, with list of relevant reviewers, some contact details, and the statement. So in the basic information, actually should contain the title of the papers with the authors. As you know, in the paper, there are many authors. So if there are many authors, always write in a short way like that. For example, one example is Ahmad at AL. If there are number of authors involved there. Okay, because this is a cover letter, we should not write so much materials here. So here also, authors need to be very smart to write a cover letter so that it is not excessive, it is not too much, it will not make editors feel boring. Okay, so that's why as short as concise possible with the only necessary information. So title of the paper should be there, and with first author's name with the @AL. And type of submission, for example, as you know, our papers are original paper, review paper. Okay, so you highlight also this is an original paper or this is a review paper. So these are called basic information or some submission information. That is point number 1. Then also, I think it is also good because we are going to convince the editor. So it is also important to highlight with brief statement, with a few sentences, how this work is important. Okay, so this also will convince the editor, because editors are also expert. So they have worked in this area for last maybe 20 years, 30 years, maybe 10 years. So by reading the importance of the title, importance of the work, actually, editor also will feel that yes, this is within the scope of the journal. So very brief background on the research with the importance of the research work. Okay, why this work is important. Normally we can bring this statement from the introduction, and also when we read the introduction part of our paper, so some catchy words, some catchy statements, sentences, we can borrow from there and we can rewrite and we can put it here in the cover letter. That will attract, entice the editor so that he is convinced to go through review process. And one of the most important element, as I mentioned, highlight the originality as strong as possible and also link with the scope. These are basically 2 most important elements of a cover letter. You should provide your more energy, you should provide your sincere effort, serious effort to address these two elements. One is the originality and the other is the scope. Okay, so if these are written very strongly, okay, so I hope that editor can be convinced to go through review process. This is basically the major weaknesses for some researchers. So I'll give you some examples how researchers submit their cover letter, their content, and as a result, the editor will not feel interested to go through review process. Maybe within half an hour, within a short period of time, there will be a decision that your paper is rejected, even though your content inside the paper may be very good, very strong. Okay, so this originality with the strong findings, so some good findings also should be linked because originality is related to the strong findings, strong outcome. Link with the scope, so highlight strongly how within the scope. So I'll give you some examples in the subsequent slides. Highlight number of relevant references cited. So this maybe will convince the editor-in-chief that these are relevant papers actually which are cited inside the result and discussion section. Sometimes a lot of papers are cited in the introduction, but in my view, it will be more important because the results are more important for original paper. So if number of relevant papers are cited in the result and discussion section, that will demonstrate that this work is closely relevant within the scope of the journal. Okay. So in addition to originality, scope, I think it is also good to list a number of reviewers who are potential in this area, who have strong expertise, and also we can oppose the reviewers. So if we suspect that there are some reviewers maybe due to conflict of interest or due to competition, they may not allow us to go through review process. Okay, I mean, there are possibilities that they will not provide professional feedback. Sorry. So in that case, we can oppose some of the reviewer if we suspect some reviewers. So there are provisions. So we can include both list of potential reviewers who are expert and also whom we feel that they might reject our paper due to competition. So we can list them. And contact details of the corresponding author. That one also I'll be showing, and some statement that this paper is original, is not being submitted somewhere else, and is not being considered somewhere else, some other journals. So these are basically the 7 most important elements. Among them is the originality and the scope. Actually, we need to highlight, we need to demonstrate very strongly to convince the editor-in-chief. So this is an example of a good cover letter. So there should be date and start with the editor-in-chief. For example, in this case, let's say we are going to submit a paper to energy conversion and management. So editor-in-chief is Dr. Al Nim. So these are some information. Then as you have seen, there are 7 elements. So one of them is the basic. So when you are going to write a cover letter, you don't need to write your basics here. You follow because these are to show you the steps. So since now most of the submissions are online, EES or Manuscript Central, so I think let's start with this way, not enclosing or attaching a manuscript. Rather, you highlight that original manuscript has been submitted online. Okay, so that's why I have changed my write-up here, because now all are most of the submissions are online in most cases. So we have submitted a manuscript entitled Heat Transfer Performance. So this is the title, okay, by Ahmad et al. In the journal Energy Conversion and Management using online submission system. So editors are aware online system, but they also will read this cover letter, because our intention is to convince the editor, because editor cannot go through full paper. They don't have enough time. Actually, it is also not their job. Actually, it is the job of reviewer. Okay, they will go through each and every details, technical content. Editor will skim through very quickly. So that's why if there is a strong cover letter, actually this will be very helpful for editor-in-chief to allow to go through review process. Okay, so these are the basic information you should provide their importance. So this work is very important to improve, to overcome the overheating issue of solar panel due to incoming solar radiation. This is, as I mentioned, we need to write it very briefly, concise way. So you may write a little bit more, 1 or 2 sentences, but not an exaggerated way, not too much wordy, because this will distract again editor-in-chief to read the whole content. Okay, so these are some of the art of writing. So you need to know how to convince the respective people. If it is reviewer, I think you need as extensive as possible. If it is editor-in-chief, so you need to write brief, concise way. So what is the role of editor? You need to understand. Okay, so highlight the importance. Okay, so this is very briefly I have written. Maybe you can include 1 more sentences there, but not excessive content. Originality finding. So this is for the first time we have developed low-cost nanomaterials with 50% improved thermal conductivity compared to available literature. So as you can see, some novelty also, originality highlighted. This has been done for the first time, and also 50% improved results compared to available literature. Okay, so you can add maybe 1 or more key findings, key novelties also here. Again here, as I have created my own YouTube channel, so how to address originality, novelty, how to identify novelties, actually I have extensively discussed in one of the content, that is how to write good quality paper, or how to improve writing skill with better impact. So you can find that in my YouTube channel for more details how to address the originality. Okay, so you write it here briefly. More details probably you can highlight also, that has been highlighted more details of this novelty in the introduction section on this line number 2030, something like that. Okay, so scope we have checked. So this is actually the one of the best way according to my experience. As you know, I have published number of paper, I have supervised students, so I have published a number of good quality paper. Most of them are in Q1 ranked journal. Some are within top 10%, some are ranked within 3, 4, or 5. So based on my experience, I strongly feel that if you address these 3 points, I'm sure, I'm confident that this may entice, this may convince the editor-in-chief that this is within the scope of the journal up to certain level. So actually I have highlighted 3 points here. We have checked the scope of the journal. That is actually in the journal scope, there are written number of scope. For example, energy conversion, heat transfer, thermodynamics. Okay, yeah, these are, let's say, some of the scope of that journal. So you have read carefully and then highlight that our work is within the heat transfer aspect of this journal. Okay, little bit more also can be written there. This is 1 point. We also cited 5 relevant references or papers from the journal at the result and discussion section. This is to demonstrate that how our works is relevant within the scope of the journal. Okay, so this also normally editor-in-chief also selects reviewers. Sometimes they check the list of the references and then they select their reviewers. Okay, this also demonstrates that this paper is within the scope of the journal. Okay, this is another important aspect. So if you, let's say, 5 relevant papers are cited, used to compare, to discuss your original results, okay, which are from that specific journal. These demonstrate that your contents are strongly within the scope of the journal. Okay, this is the second point. Third point, we also noticed that number of relevant papers have already been published in this specific area. Okay, maybe you may not be possible to cite 20 papers, 30 papers, but you also can highlight some other papers that these are also the paper within the scope and within the area of our content. Okay, so within this viewpoint, so maybe after discussion with your team members before submission, again, maybe additional few more points also you can include there, because this is one of the important points that you need to really convince. So how to convince? These are some of the examples. These are some of the best examples. So this way, I hope you may better convince the editor-in-chief. Okay, so these are actually the continuation of, as you can see, there are some other additional elements also need to be provided. For example, the list of reviewers. So highlight, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 list of reviewers. Again, these reviewers are needed, as you know, that sometimes they are busy, and to make the works of editor-in-chief easier. They may use, they may not use. Okay, so you have to understand that this is a requirement. So in our case, we always try to put some names there, but I don't care so much because it is the job of editor-in-chief. Let them decide. Okay, I may be biased to select list of reviewers. Maybe I may select my known people. So it is also not good. So it should be actually expert. Okay, we should not invite the reviewer, those who are our friends with whom we have conflict of interest. Okay, that is my stance. Okay, but this is a requirement. Without this requirement, actually, it will not go through review process. So it is always wise. It is always better. At least the minimum number of reviewers you highlight there, and also include there. And also, if you feel this reviewer maybe will reject your paper, so you can list them with the details there, and you mention the reasons. Okay, and particularly when you are going to select the reviewer, highlight that they are expert in this area. Okay, and my strong recommendation would be don't invite your own people, friends, relatives, okay, brother, sister. This is to avoid the conflict of interest. So we want to make genuine contribution in science. Okay, to be professional, I think my strong recommendation is that always try to identify the professional reviewer, those who are not your friends. Okay. And there should have some statement also. We confirm that this manuscript has not been published somewhere else. It also can be written that this is also original work. This is also not submitted some other journals, as I mentioned earlier. And the contact details of corresponding authors. In this case, I put my details, okay, address, telephone number, fax number. Most importantly, email address is very, very important, and always provide here official email address. This is preferable. Okay. So this is one very bad example, a poor example of a cover letter. So I experienced many times when we receive email from students for recruitment purpose, for job purpose, for PhD purposes. Sometimes I receive an email just only, let us please find my CV, without highlighting some of his or her key achievement. Actually, that is very weak. And when also we open the CV, we also see that CVs are also very poor. So this is one example of a very, very poor cover letter. You see, this does not reflect anything. No novelty, no findings. How this paper is also within the scope is not addressed. So these are some examples. You know, some researchers just sometimes just copy and paste some content from someone else. Sometimes also we receive letter, you know, the names of the other people actually, see, meaning that they submitted this letter to someone else, so just simply copy and paste. This will give very bad impression. This will reflect that you are not serious. So you are sending same letter by copying and pasting to someone else. So these are really not good practice. I think you should have a customized letter, because different people, different organization has different focus. So if you are going to submit your letter to someone else, so you check his or her expertise, how it match. Okay, if it does not match, same thing you send somewhere else, I think that you really cannot convince. Okay, so this is to show that this is very, very poor examples of a cover letter. Actually, through this, actually, these types of cover letter, actually, you are killing yourself, meaning that your paper will be rejected immediately. Okay, this will give a very wrong information, very bad impression to editor-in-chief that they are not strong authors, they are not strong writers. Okay. So those who want to work with us also for collaboration purpose, we are working in the area of emerging nanomaterials such as magazine, graphene, and their application in energy storage, heat transfer, solar energy. We strongly encourage, as we have our state-of-art lab facilities which can be used for collaboration, and also those who are interested to use our service by paying very reasonable amount, we also encourage to use our facilities. So these are our state-of-art lab facilities we developed at Sano University. So researchers are those who are facing difficulties to generate their data, to generate high-quality data to publish in high-impact journal. Also, those who are facing difficulties in conducting their PhD, okay, to generate their data to complete their PhD. They don't have enough equipment. So in that case, we encourage, we welcome to work with us so that we can support, we can solve your problem also. Okay, so again, to serve scientific community, I have created this YouTube channel. Okay, you can find my YouTube channel by searching this word. So this is the most popular searching word according to the analytics I have seen. So a number of videos are already there. So among them, research strategy for early career researcher is very, very attractive, very popular. Many people already viewed, okay, almost 100 times watching time already for this video. Of course, there are some other content on writing, improving the writing skill, how to write review paper, how to be graduated on time, that is for PhD and master students, rewards for research with limited facilities, writing titles and abstracts. So I'm constantly working. So every week I'm going to load some of the content for the benefit of scientific community. So keep your eyes. Okay, so thank you for your attention. I hope this video at least will help you to avoid desk rejection. Okay, so you can communicate with me with this email. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.